help me decorate the tree.
The long johns are for Stinky Whizzle Teats to put sausages in.
Ho, ho, ho!
Let's exchange gifts.
The dueling got the Queen of England! It's just what I've always wanted. How did you ever know? It's nothing, really.
Kick it.
Welcome to Splat Attack, a 90s podcast honoring slime-filled past. I'm your lucky nose goblin, Alex.
And I'm your stinky wizard teeth sausage stuffer, Manny. Alex, I smell something stinky, and yet it makes me feel very cheerful. Why?
Well, funny smell, and funny you should ask. It's not my uncle's boots filled with coleslaw, but it's these two episodes that we have pinned up against each other for this episode battle.
Excellent. Looks like we have Son of Stimpy versus A Scooter for Yaksmas. Two very classic and yet different episodes.
Absolutely right you are, but you. What in the world? What is that coming from?
I think I left the cheese out again.
Oh no, I didn't clean out the litter box.
Oh.
Wait. Oh my goodness, it's our
What's
special.
coming out of there?
It's our, of all places, our special guest is Ryan Smiga, who's stuck here on the litter box. Get out of there, Ryan. What's the matter with you, man?
It's stinky in there.
You know what goes in there. I swear we think highly of our guests more so than have them out of the litter box. Get out of there. Dry off. Get cleaned up.
How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing good. Hi, how are y'all?
We are doing all right.
Doing good.
Yes, we are going over these two episodes, two great holiday episodes of Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy is one of my two absolute favorite Nicktoons, which I had mentioned before. Doug being one of them, Ren and Stimpy being the other one. I don't like one more than the other. I like them both, but for very, very different reasons, because they're very different cartoon shows. But Ryan, what is your background with Ren and Stimpy, and are you familiar with these two episodes before we did them for this episode?
Yes. Ren and Stimpy has always been one of my favorite cartoons. Watching Nickelodeon at my grandma's, and always watching Ren and Stimpy, and just the humor of it. And as a teenager, I used to collect all kinds of Ren and Stimpy stuff. So, and the magazines, and I would at school we took our magazines and we made pins out of them.
Oh, that's so cool.
Cases, so we got a lot of them, and I also collect a lot of the Ren and Stimpy. I actually still have some of the stuff that I.
That's so neat. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
And then got the
happy
the
joy,
back-
joy,
the
happy,
back
happy
toy.
joy.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I've always loved Ren and Stimpy.
Awesome. For those of you who are listening, outside of the pins, Ryan has some of the action figures and old toys and dolls, and he was showing those off. So if you guys want to check it out, I would suggest go to our YouTube page and check out those things. It's really super cool. Manny, what about you? I know you and I had talked about Ren and Stimpy before, and you had told me that Ren and Stimpy wasn't one of your favorites. What is your experience with Ren and Stimpy?
It was very weird. When the show came out, I was enthused about it. Like, I loved the color. I loved how sporadic it was and everything. Definitely the splotches of paint in the background was definitely something I've never seen in my life. So I feel like it was sort of a pioneer of what cartoons sort of became.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it as a kid, but as I got older, I started to sort of drift away from it a little bit. I don't know. Maybe when I was a kid, my brain just didn't have the right type of filter. And then when I got older, I'm like, should I be laughing at some of this stuff? I don't really know. But it's sort of a love-hate relationship. I don't necessarily hate it, but it's definitely not one that I revisit often. But it's still a really entertaining show and awesome for what it started. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have talked about it a bit on the show before. I mean, it's always the elephant in the room. Whenever you talk about Ren and Stimpy, you can't help but address John Kay. But we're not talking about John Kay and his life choices. We're talking about the show itself. And there is two very distinct styles with both of these episodes because we have the John Kay era and we have the Bob Camp era. And there is a very, very much different style in humor and in animation in both of them. And Bob K, or I'm sorry, Bob K, I'm not combining the two. Bob Camp. Bob Camp did a very good job carrying on the show, and I think there's a lot of really great Bob Camp episodes that really get overlooked. But as far as the John Kay episodes go, most of them are gold. Gold, Jerry. Gold.
Hey,
So
it's gold.
But with that being said, it's going to be really fun to go over these two episodes and see how we can compare and contrast and figure out what exactly works and what exactly doesn't. So I'm really excited about this. But enough of the background, enough of our observations of what the show was as a whole. We're going to isolate down to just this. But since we don't have another guest, I don't have anybody else to battle Ryan in this. So, Manny, you're going to have to take your shield and go into battle with him.
What? I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Yep. No, come on now. Get.
Ryan and I are headed into battle with our holiday cheer.
Best time of the year to get in family fights.
Yes.
Better
Blood spray.
Better than Thanksgiving. Well, for this episode, the 5 categories that we're looking for, because we always have the categories. The first one, and it's always every single episode, the story.
I don't care.
That'll be our first. Our second one, also always as our main character.
I don't care.
And our third one, just about always, if not always so far, supporting characters.
I don't care.
But 4 and 5 always get to be changed up a little bit. So our fourth category is warm holiday feelings.
I don't care.
And our fifth one is the use of gross out humor. And for those of you who are less familiar with it, instead of them being close-ups, they would be really highly detailed animated cells that instead of looking really pretty, they look really nasty and grody and bleh, which is why they're called gross-ups, which is something that a lot of animation uses to this day, and SpongeBob being the main one that usually comes to mind. But as for episode info, I'll let the two of you share this. Manny is going to be doing Son of Stimpy. Manny, tell us what the episode details are.
Son of Stimpy, Season 2, Episode 11. The air date is December 11th, 1993. Written by John Kay, Vincent Waller, and Richard Purcell. And directed by John Kay.
And Ryan is going to be defending a scooter for Yaksmas, which is the final episode of the series. Ryan, tell us the episode details.
Okay, so the Scooter for Yaksmas is the final episode of the Nickelodeon run. It's Season 5, Episode 19. Air date is December 16th, 1995. Written by Bob Camp and Jim Gomez, and directed by Bob Camp.
The end of the Nickelodeon run. No, it is the end. It is the end of Ren and Stimpy. There are no reboots. There are no...
Oh, there's no Spike TV reboot?
No, that does not exist. I am going to play ignorant in that. I am sticking by my guns. That does not exist. I'm going to... What's the thing? I'm going to delude myself into believing that it does not exist.
But for now, will you please join me in fooling myself?
But we are going to start with story,
I don't
and
care.
we are going to start with Son of Stimpy. So, Manny, tell us about the story for Son of Stimpy.
You got it. In this true story that was made up,
This here's a true story that we just made up.
we open with Stimpy watching TV, not sitting on the litter box, but his bare bottom. While enjoying his cartoons, Stimpy notices a bubbling in his gut that flatulence is about to immerse. After its conclusion, Stimpy notices this wasn't like any other time. He notices a funny smell, which causes him to freak out and run to Ren. Ren is relaxing while Stimpy disrupts him, trying to dramatically explain how something came out of his butt and smelled funny.
Something came out of my butt, and it smelled funny.
You're an idiot.
Stimpy is not taking this sitting down, so he is going to recreate the issue. But with constant butt clenching, and it starts to shrivel and delude. So Stimpy, unfortunately, tries to look for his toot, which he named Stinky. So he searches the house, and he reaches the magic nose goblins. Unfortunately, they're not able to help because they think he's crazy.
He talks to farts, man.
Stimpy, feeling depressed, is just staring at his reflection on the TV screen. Ren walks up, trying to cheer him up by wanting to watch TV with him. Trying to give him an uplifting speech about how he truly cares for him, Stimpy responds by just saying, "I don't care."
I don't care.
With that, Ren just gets irritated and just leaves him alone. We now see Stinky looking at Stimpy through the window, feeling homesick, but he just walks away with tears in his eyes. We now see a cold blizzard hitting while we see Stimpy in the front door calling out to Stinky. Ren pleads for Stimpy to come back inside to just spend some quality time together. As Stimpy sees what Ren is trying to do, he yells back,
When poor little Stinky's out there in the cold, lost, alone, he needs me.
With those final words, Stimpy walks up into the cold winter's night. Ren looks up at the sky, crying for Stimpy to
Please, bring him back safe. I'm willing to hold off on the pectoral muscles.
In the city, Stimpy is calling for Stinky, asking followers walking by. Finally, going to the police sketch artist, Stimpy is trying to explain the whole situation by pointing at his bottom. But the officer kicks him out. Stimpy walks to the street, and a car runs over his face. Stinky apparently shows up, and he's totally sitting on top of him, just wondering why he ran away from home. But then he sees two homeless men, because, a fart can get cold, apparently. So the two homeless men are just trying to keep warm. Stinky goes right between them. And then all of a sudden, one of the guys just says,
Hey, key ripes! Somebody light a match!
so they're trying to light this fart on fire. And so Stinky just completely runs away and ends up in the sewer. Meanwhile, Ren is crying
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
as he gives a picture of Stimpy a present. Ren is just questioning where he is. Just then, there's a doorbell ring. Stimpy makes it back home in a block of ice, reuniting with each other just like they did on the very first episode. Ren is so happy to see Stimpy back, he puts his feet in hot water and warms them up. Just then, there's another ring at the door. Ren opens it, and much to his surprise, he picks the visitor up and asks Stimpy to sniff his finger. Stimpy is alarmed and looks at Ren's finger as Stinky materializes. Both Stinky and Stimpy's eyes get huge as they embrace. Stimpy is so happy, and he thinks that they're going to be together forever. However, Stinky has other plans.
I'm a man now, and a man has needs.
He shows him his fiancee, Cora, a fish skeleton that was probably in the trash. Ren and Stimpy look happily at each other and they sing
Memories.
As we hear church bells ring, Stimpy marries both Stinky and Cora. Looks like the honeymoon will have to wait since it's all going to take place in Ren's nose. Don't ask. We end with Stimpy throwing rice at Ren's face as he says,
I just love a happy ending.
the end.
So this may explain why every single time I hear the song Memories, I just get a really nasty feeling every single time. Sorry, I don't care for that song. No, I love the fact that this is why John Kay worked so well in Nickelodeon, because he had a good team behind him, and he had Vanessa Coffey, who had something specific she was looking for. You get unfiltered John Kay, you get the show that must not be named. But whenever you, or I should say the spinoff that should not be named, but whenever you have Vanessa working together with him, she was very much wanting heart, which they talked about quite a bit in the Happy Happy Joy Joy documentary, because she felt this heart between these characters. John Kay really didn't, and she was wanting a good family, feel good Christmas story, and John said, "Okay, sure." His fart goes missing. And he plays it as serious as possible. I mean, it's full of jokes, but they don't play them like they're jokes. They play them as serious as and the way people would normally respond as possible.
Yeah.
Which I think, honestly, is purely brilliant. In terms of pacing, Mr. Manny, do you feel the pacing for this episode goes really well? Is there anything that you would trim or add? Anything you would do different to the story?
I think the scene with Stimpy going all the way to the city, it kind of just gets a little left out because I had the original VHS of this. And so that whole scene is cut out when he visits the police officer. But then I saw it on reruns on the TV and I was like, "Oh, I don't remember this part." So I guess maybe you could just do without that, I guess. Maybe. But I feel like the pacing and everything works out fine. Definitely has, does like you said, a lot of emotion and heart, which is what John Kay needs. He needs that instead of just plain John. So I totally agree with that.
He needs that because he doesn't have that. Moving on to a scooter for Yaksmas. Tell us the story, Ryan.
Okay, so this story starts Stimpy at his job, and he's making popsicle sticks out of full trees, and looks like he's spending the whole day tossing out reject sticks into a pile until it's quitting time. Not until after Stimpy gets his pay, he gets a stick and a half and a Yaksmas bonus. Stimpy is, of course, overjoyed. Why? Because it's Yaksmas Eve. Stimpy walks home with a smile on his face, with the falling soot and smile of burnt rubber band vendors. However, he makes a slight detour to a store window where he sees the Johnny Future Jet scooter. Obviously, he has his eyes set on for a long time with the hopes of the next day to be together forever. When Stimpy gets home, he makes sure to put the reminders of the scooter to the yak to make sure he doesn't forget. Even around Ren when he's at the dinner table. Stimpy is just reminding Ren about this scooter that he even shapes Ren's chopped liver into the shape of a scooter. Later that night, Stimpy is decorating the house, long johns on the wall, shoes on the chandelier, the tree stump with gruel and a sausage on top, the works. Ren, annoyed, tells Stimpy to grow up, but he doesn't listen and forces both of them to go to bed in the Yaksmas traditional way. Stimpy lays in a tux complete with a top hat and Ren in a rabbit suit.
Stupid.
Both Whizzleteats and the yak arrive that night. Whizzleteats stuffs sausages in the long johns. The yaks drops pre-chewed gum in their shoes, and Whizzleteat passes out in the front lawn after eating pickled eggs, donuts, and pig knuckles. The yak picks him up, then flies away in his sausage cart to the West Pole. Ren and Stimpy both wake up with joy as they chomp down on their sausages. Stimpy asks to exchange gifts. He goes first and gives Ren a jeweled encrusted Queen of England. Uh, Ren asks how he knew, and Stimpy shows him a letter that plainly says, "Buy me, Queen, or die." Stimpy is so excited because Ren is about to give him Stimpy his gift. However, his dreams get tarnished and he tries to hold in his frustration as Ren gives him fudge pop sticks. Stimpy starts freaking out, but Ren doesn't seem to care. Stimpy leaves and goes to the store window to depressively look at the scooter. As Stimpy snaps and yells how unfair it is that he doesn't have the scooter, he pounds on the window, accidentally breaking it as the scooter falls into his hands. An old lady viewing the situation starts screaming for the police to catch this thief. Stimpy trying to explain he didn't mean but nobody is listening, and jumps on the scooter and rides away. The lady is explaining to the cop Stimpy's description as a fat man in a red suit. The cop assures her that no one gets away with stealing a $39 scooter. They'll catch him dead or alive. Stimpy and the scooter are hiding out under a bridge as night falls. Stimpy falls asleep, having a bad dream about how he's trying to say that it was an accident, but nobody is listening. Then yelling how he doesn't deserve a scooter, or a police officer telling him that he was going to buy the scooter for his sick kid, which turned out to be a puppet. The kicker of this is that Whistleteats is the judge, and the jury is of 12 angry yaks. Find Stimpy guilty and to spend infinite time in prison. Stimpy wakes up and heads home to see if Ren will get him out of this trouble. Unfortunately, there are news reporters interviewing Ren as he explains how Stimpy is a psycho and how lucky he is to be alive.
And they turn out to be a psycho. I'm lucky to be alive. A guy like that.
Feeling betrayed, Stimpy cries all the way to a gas station men's room using black shoe polish to make a wig looking like one of the Beatles. Stimpy is set to find the one man who can help him, Stinky Whistleteats, but he accidentally crashes into an oaf. However, the oaf is okay and comes along with Stimpy to find Stinky. However, that is short-lived as the oaf sees a wanted poster with Stimpy's face as the scooter thief. The oaf runs off and yells for the police. However, Stimpy keeps moving on to the West Pole. 3,000 or so miles later, the scooter's front tire gets flat. As the scooter falls to one side, Stimpy flings off and hits his head on a pole. Luckily, he was wearing his helmet. Stimpy is surprised to see the West Pole Motel. Sadly, the scooter is broken and not able to be ridden anymore. Determined not to give up, he tells the scooter that Whistleteats will know what to do. Stimpy opens the door to see the yak and Whistleteats passed out, sleeping like logs. Stimpy notices a package from Ren to him. Stimpy opens it, and it's his own Johnny Future Jet scooter. Ren didn't forget. Stinky forgot to deliver it. Stimpy is so happy, however, he forgot about the broken scooter. He calmly walks the scooter to a still sleepy Whistleteats. He tells the scooter that he will fix her up all brand new. Stimpy rides away in his scooter as the police circle the motel and wake up the yak and the Whistleteats. The lady from before shouts, "That's the fat man in the red suit." Whistleteats' pajamas are red and he's holding the broken scooter. Meanwhile, Stimpy is happy and says all is well and right with him, and it's cleared his name thanks to Stinky Whistleteats. As they say, "Merry Yaksmas," we see the yak and Stinky ride away in the broken up scooter with bullet holes through them.
I have to say that is a wild ride episode right there.
Just needs slow ride whenever he's going on the little scooter running for his life. Yeah. Easy rider. Same question for you. How do you feel the pacing works for this episode? Is there anything that could be trimmed? Is there anything that feels like that could be added?
I mean, to me, it's okay. I mean, it might be it's just like it kind of goes like a tennis, back and forth of different areas. But it kind of basically has to tell the story. So.
All right, let's dive into main character. Manny, tell us who is the main character for Son of Stimpy.
Well, technically it would be... I I wrote Stimpy as just the main character, but side characters could be like Ren and Stinky. But Stimpy, definitely you get to know sort of who he is a little bit because you never see the vulnerability of Stimpy. This is like one of the ones where he's like, oh, wow, you really feel for him in his situation. Like, wow, you feel heartbroken because he lost his fart. And yeah, it's like even saying it like that, it doesn't sound emotional, but you just gotta see it.
Yeah, it's played serious.
Yeah. So that's what I gotta say. You get to know who Stimpy is in this particular episode.
Okay. Scooter for Yaksmas, who is the main character for this one?
The main character is Stimpy. But just like Manny said, I mean, it's, you would think maybe also you could maybe include the scooter because the scooter is kind of part of it, where that's what he's trying to get. And of course, you got the other ones. There's more of the supporting characters with Ren and Stinky Wizzle Teats and so forth. But
and the scooter's kind of alive too, right? So it's like,
yeah.
I mean, it jumped out the window to get to him.
Yeah.
And then it was tired by the end.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on, we'll go on to supporting characters. Tell us about the Son of Stimpy.
Ren and Stinky. You get to see, like, during the John K years, you get to see different personalities of Ren. Definitely, this is like one of the rare moments when Ren is actually caring for Stimpy. And he's using the real timeline because he said, like, it's been 3 years now. So it's like, wow, okay. I'm starting to worry about you. So it's like you're waiting 3 years to worry about him, but at least, thank you for worrying and caring. I appreciate that. And Stinky, this might just be me, but when you first see Stinky, like, look through the window, he's very tiny, but this could be my own perspective about it, I guess. I think he's a little kid, but then towards the end of the episode when he gets, married, he's more like a guy, like a man. So I'm thinking, like, he has a growing arch throughout this episode.
I mean, his methane, it grows older and fades quicker than anything else.
So maybe that could be the right point, I think.
That is
his life.
That is a long-lasting fart.
Yeah.
I have never... Only Stimpy would be able to maintain.
We don't know what the timeline is between when he farted and when the blizzard's happening. Because it's like, I don't know, it could take place at the same time. I don't know. Maybe it's been 3 years. Maybe it's been 3 months. 3 hours. I don't know. Maybe.
Scooter for Yaksmas, supporting characters.
So supporting characters, what of course we said earlier would be the scooter, also Ren, because he's they're exchanging gifts and everything, and then of course the Stinky Wizzle Teats, is similar to Santa Claus and also the Yak, in this episode.
I also kind of find it funny how Wizzle Teats is he sings the Happy Happy Joy Joy song, so it's like, I wonder if he's like the singer by by all seasons, but then on Christmas time he turns into that Santa Claus Wizzle Teats.
Well, I mean, even the beginning of the Son of Stimpy, that was the same character voice, because they use the Stinky Wizzle Teat voice whenever he opens the song Happy Happy Joy Joy with, "Hello, boys and girls," and that's how he started the Son of Stimpy episode, which I thought was fun.
That's true.
Use of holiday theme. Manny.
So this goes kind of back to what I said about the blizzard happening. When Ren is trying to keep Stimpy indoors, he says, like, come on in and help me decorate the tree. He mentions that, and you could string the dingleberry garland. So there's that. And then there's, of course, a nod to the mistletoe. And, because Ren only thinks about one thing, and Stimpy cares about the other thing. So, but there's also that "Wish You a Merry Christmas" part where Ren gives the present to Stimpy's picture. So, I guess you could see a little bit of decoration, and he's wearing a Santa hat too. So there is little bit of element of Christmas in that, but not so much throwing it in your face.
Scooter for Yaksmas.
And in this episode, it's similar to Son and Stimpy. I mean, they have the elements of Christmas. They have the stapling the long johns onto the wall. They're preparing stuff for Stinky Wizzleteats and the Yak. And then when they go to bed, it's like when Santa Claus comes, they have their presents, but they have gum filled in their shoes. They have sausages put in the stockings and stuff when they get up, and so that's one aspect that they have that's similar to like a traditional Christmas. At the beginning of the episode, they have was when he's coming out of the factory. They also have there's these kids that are just sitting there making a snowman out of soot, and it's just falling down from the sky from the factory. And and then he's sitting there and he says, "Hey kids," and they said something like, look at this idiot. And he's sitting there and he gets hit by all the soot in the ear, and it goes into his ear. So it's even though it's not snow, but I think that's a couple things that I saw similar to the holidays.
All right. Well, we're going to go to our last category. Use of gross out humor.
I don't care.
What have you got for Son of Stimpy?
There wasn't really a lot. Because you said not the hand painted close ups, right? Just like the animated stuff. I mean, floating Stinky. I mean, it was, I don't know. I got a lot of Aladdin Genie vibes from that.
And you do have the animated the hand painted ones, because you had even though it wasn't a gross out, but Stimpy frozen in ice, and then the nose goblins, also the close up of those.
Yeah, and the two homeless guys, you get to see a pimple and a lot of
their
hair
backs,
coming out of that, and well, of course, the beginning shot with Stimpy's butt on the carpet. Which is weird too, because that's another callback to the first episode as well.
And they also had the cod.
Yeah, that's right, Cora. Yeah, that's a really good painting, actually.
Cora the Explorer.
Yeah. Oh, mean! Someone ate her.
Scooter for Yaksmas, what gross ups do you have?
Just like Manny's episode, they didn't have as much either, but with maybe the soot falling down instead of snow, kids all dirty and playing in the snow. Another one was when Stimpy went up to the window and he kind of jumped on the window, and when he was scooting down, you see his butt scooting down.
It's so stupid.
And I guess when they're like when he brings in the liver and it's the shape of a scooter, it's got all the smell coming through it. And then when they're eating the sausages, they're just all chomping down on it. But up close wise, they didn't have any real gross out humor of it. But I think those were some of the ones that I saw in the episode.
All right. Well, before we go into our final verdicts for the episode, we are going to go hang our long johns onto the wall and get our shoes out for the Yaksman. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, see what else we got going on as far as Splat Attack is concerned, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
We'll be back with more Ren and Stimpy after this.
Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Ren and Stimpy Episode Battle. If you are enjoying this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment below. If you are listening on a podcast app, please leave us a review where possible. All these very simple actions help others catch that nostalgic feeling. Tune in next time, Slimesters, when we ring in the new year with the Wienerville gang as they make their way towards the Big Apple on the Wienerville New Year's Special. You can find all the retro-rific action only here on Splat Attack.
Yeah, my wife and I just started a podcast. It's on Spotify, and it's called Bedtime Banter. If you ever have those moments when you are about to go to sleep, but then you start getting all these questions and thoughts that run into your head that are peculiar or just kind of weird, well, this is a podcast that we both conversate before we go to sleep. And it's very experimental, so it's probably not for everybody, but it's definitely a fun listen to what goes on in the brain. So check it out if you haven't already.
If you enjoy all the retro-rific slime-tastic action, please join us over on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/splatattack, where we have exclusive episodes, bonus content, early access, as well as doing 2 live streams a month. One Nickelodeon-related, one not Nickelodeon-related, but all centered on the 90s. So join the Gackoids over on Patreon, patreon.com/splatattack. Make sure to check out our sweet 90s Nick merch over on our Bonfire page. Go to bonfire.com/store/splatattack store with hyphens in between to check out some coffee mugs and a plethora, dare I say, of 90s Nickelodeon shirts. We have some Splat Attack original as well as some other 90s Nick love being shared between things like Stickly, a personal favorite of mine, Space Cases, Roundhouse. Quite a bit of stuff, so head over to our Bonfire, bonfire.com/store/Splatattack store with hyphens in between.
And now back to Ren and Stimpy.
You know what? Never remind me to put out my shoes for the Yaksman again, because that's just gross.
Yeah, I got sausages on my wall from last year.
That's
not good.
And I don't want some homeless man camping out in my front yard.
Oh God, no.
Well, with the Yaksmas coming, or gone by now, let's go over our final verdict for the episodes. Looking at story for both of these episodes. And just because we started with Son of Stimpy, we'll start with that one and we'll just go back and forth in that order so it doesn't seem like I'm picking favorites. Son of Stimpy, I really, really love this one. I love the story behind it. I love that it is not something you normally see for Ren and Stimpy. I mean, there usually is heart at some point, in a lot of these episodes. Usually it comes from Ren realizing how much of a jerk he's been to Stimpy, and Stimpy being overly innocent and sweet, and albeit very stupid. But this one, Ren really hasn't shown off to be as much of a jerk as he usually is. But as you had pointed out, this is very different for Stimpy. And we see this journey of a character who has become like family and runs away. I think unintentionally, but still ran away, and how that can affect a person. And I think it's so funny. One of my absolute favorite lines in this episode, which I've said a few times, is, "I don't care. I don't care." I've said that to my wife so many times. Where do you want to go get something to eat? I don't care. I don't care.
Sounds like my students.
Yeah. She said, we don't have an I don't care restaurant. I don't care. Because I know the second I give a suggestion, I don't want to eat there, then where do you want to go? And that's the way it always goes. But I love that line. But also at the same time, having been through something similar, whenever you've lost somebody or somebody has moved away, you do experience that sadness for a while. You do have that I don't care. Which is played up partially for humor, but also it's played somewhat serious in this. And you do see the effect this takes, and you actually get to see Ren genuinely feel sorry for Stimpy, and the excitement that comes at the end. I really feel like the pacing is very good for this episode. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It doesn't repeat so many times that it becomes old. It's not an old stale fart. It is a ripe and roarous odor. But what I like about it is that every time you have a repeat joke, it adds something just a little different every time. So yes, it's a lot of fart jokes, but farts are funny. I don't care. Farts are funny, and they can get really old really, really fast if you're not careful and you just do the same joke over and over. But they were really careful with their craft on how to keep this consistently funny, but also keep the story moving along for a 20-minute story that they normally didn't do. It's normally two separate ones. So I really like this one. The Scooter for Yaksmas, I really like this one too. But this one did have a bit of pacing issue with me. Mostly because it felt like the whole Yaksmas portion, where you actually get to see Weasel Teats and the Yak, and they go through that whole song. It almost felt like its own separate segment, because you know how Ren and Stimpy would have a cartoon story, and then they'd have a silly segment, and then the next cartoon story. It almost felt like it could be its own separate segment, and there were even two more segments at the end of this episode, which tells me they didn't have as much story to go through for this one, like they did the first Son of Stimpy one. But it felt somewhat out of place in my opinion, but it was still very good. It was still that playful banter and really did have a nice lighthearted tone before it took Stimpy on the run from the law, complete different spin that made a giant U-turn, which was fun, but it didn't feel as tonally unanimous throughout the whole thing, because the Son of Stimpy had a tone and then just escalated that tone all the way through, whereas Scooter for Yaksmas was funny, goofy, really goofy, and oh my gosh, now we're getting serious, now we're goofy, now we're serious, now we're goofy, now we're serious. And whereas Son of Stimpy, even though it was a goofy premise, they maintained it serious all throughout, which again is your clear distinction between John K's humor and Bob Camp's humor, which is why a lot of people prefer the John K era. But with that in mind, as far as story goes, I'm going to give the point to Son of Stimpy. Main character, it's Stimpy both ways, and it's two very, very different iterations of Stimpy. We get to see something we don't normally get to see with him. I loved the whole thing that I don't care. I talked about that already. But as far as Scooter for Yaksmas goes, I love how the whole part at the beginning when he's trying to get Ren to notice what he wants for Yaksmas, and it starts off so subtle with, oh, he'll absolutely notice this, and put something in the bathroom, and then Ren comes out and he's used it as toilet paper, and then he sits down at the table and Ren's like, I can't wait for supper, I'm starving, and the camera pulls back and there are signs all over Ren, Scooter, 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 Scooter. And then he looks over at Ren, or at Stimpy, and across the table Stimpy has this flashing sign above his head, Scooter, the perfect gift for Yaksmas. It's so funny, and to see that child enthusiasm that's the same, that reminds me of when I was a kid and I would ask my parents for Christmas gifts and I wanted those gifts, and I knew I was going to get those gifts, and then the next morning whenever he didn't get what he wanted, and what he got was something that he has an abundance of, and then trying to be thankful for what he's got but you can clearly see he's about to snap. The animation they did for that was so good, and the voice acting for that was so good, because it's so rare when we get to see Stimpy losing his cool. Usually you see Ren do that. It was fun to see that flipped, and Ren just completely oblivious. Huh? Oh yeah, go ahead, just gone.
He's trying to get the jewels out of
Yeah. I'm gonna go get some air, or whatever it was that he said. He says, oh yeah, go ahead. And then to see him scared. We don't also get to see Stimpy scared. I mean, he was scared for two different. He was afraid for his fart on Son of Stimpy, but he was scared for his life because of a situation that just happened to happen to him in this one.
Yeah.
And neither one of them is really better than the other. They both paint Stimpy in a different light, and they really went full force with the emotions on both as far as that character goes. I go for a tie, a point for both for the main characters. I really, really like it. And as for supporting characters, Ren is our main supporting character for Son of Stimpy. And as we had said earlier, I really like, for the most part, Ren in this episode. I really love the moment whenever Stimpy is trying to describe his fart to him, and Ren is just not wanting to believe it. Something came out of your butt.
That's nice, Stimpy. Something came out of your butt.
and it made a noise. You're sick, man. you need help.
That's one of the earliest memories I have when I was watching that with my parents. I swear to God, my mom dies every time whenever Ren did that pause and he's like, "You're an idiot." She died every time. That's my earliest memory I have of that.
It's such a finite, underwhelming insult, because it's not one of the big, loud, explosive reactions, just that nice deadpan, "You're an idiot." I don't know why that makes it so funny, but it's absolutely hysterical. And I do like that Ren was genuinely trying to get Stimpy to move past this. And he said, yes, it's been 3 years, and much like you had pointed out, really, it's taking you 3 years to try to
care.
And which, it's Ren. That doesn't surprise me at all. But the fact that he even came around and started to recognize, even if it was 3 years, that's a big step for this idiot, very, very selfish character. So I'm at least grateful that they were able to put that in there. And we do get to see that Ren does genuinely care for Stimpy. And the excitement whenever it did come back, and he was able to go and present that to Stimpy, and that really self-assured, not arrogant like he usually is, but just that he knows this is going to make him happy, and he can't wait to share this. I like that. That was, even though it's a fart, they still played it serious, and it was still really sweet. It's so stupid to say that, but it is. And over on Scooter for Yaksmas, I really like what they did there too. I love the part that, as far as Ren is concerned, first of all, Stimpy, dude, why are you putting all this stuff up on the eve of Yaksmas? You're supposed to put this stuff up earlier in the month, so you're not doing all at one night. Enjoy it for the season, Holmes. But I do love that Ren was very much, why? You're too old for this. Why still do this? But he still played along with it because he knew it was going to matter a lot to Stimpy, even though you could clearly see he was frustrated to be in that Easter Bunny outfit and lay down in bed. He still went along with it. But the thing that I was mentioning earlier that I really liked is Stimpy was coming back home after accidentally taking the scooter. And, well, my friend Ren, he'll take care of me. He'll never betray a friend, or something to that effect. And when he gets there, Ren is talking to news reporters. "Oh, yeah, he could have robbed me blind. You think you know a fella." He's like, "Oh, no, it's my friend," and runs away again.
It's like classic comedy. He'll never do that. And then he's totally doing that.
Yeah, does it immediately. But we don't really see much of Ren throughout the second half of the episode. And like Ryan had said, you got the Yaksman or the Yak and Mr. Weasel Teat, which they're both fun. Anytime they have these ridiculous side characters and get to expand the lore a little bit, it makes it fun. And I thought Oaf was funny. There's something about how stupid that was, because he's an oaf, but I don't know. I liked it. I liked the use of supporting characters and just adding new things to it. I really loved the cop in this episode, because even though it's a one-note joke, I still think it's hilarious. Of the no $39 scooter is going to be stolen on my watch. Catch him dead or alive. It's a $39 scooter. Come on. That's the joke, though. But I like what they did with Ren. I liked what they did with the supporting characters, plural. And yeah, you could say the scooter is kind of its own supporting character, but even if you don't, you still have all these other really fun ones. And again, two very different aspects of what was needed for both stories. So I, again, give both a tie for this one. Use of holiday theme. For Son of Stimpy, like Manny had pointed out, there really wasn't a whole lot. You get kind of a general feeling for the episode, but it feels more a winter tale and less of a holiday tale. Because, he's going through the snow and in the blizzard, and it's taken over the course of 3 years. And it feels kind of like It's a Wonderful Life. And I don't mean story-wise. What I mean is, if you really think about It's a Wonderful Life, most of that movie is not Christmas. It's not until the last act where the movie becomes Christmas, and everybody ropes it in as a Christmas movie. Die Hard is more of a Christmas movie than It's a Wonderful Life is. I don't care what anyone says, but it's true. But the one portion of A Wonderful Life is Christmas, and there's pretty much, it's the same here. There's one portion that's really Christmas, and it's really the end, whenever the family's getting together. Because we don't really get Christmas at the beginning. We don't have Christmas when he's looking. You have a Santa, Salvation Army Santa on the street corner. That's really about it until the end, and then you've got that big, heartwarming, the family's back together type trope that you would see with movies that deal with this kind of thing. But Scooter for Yaksmas, there was a lot of Christmas in this, especially the first half, up until he goes to accidentally steal the scooter. But getting the Christmas bonus, leaving work on Christmas Eve, even kids relate to that, because for them it's school, and they're excited to be done with school and be on Christmas break and enjoy all of that. And yes, the building the snowman, even though that also is more winter, people still associate that a lot with Christmas. But then you also have the putting up all the decorations and seeing all the decorations, and they explain all the decorations. And then they also explained all the traditions that you have with Yaksmas, with the Yak and Mr. Weasel Teats. They had a whole song about it. And then also giving the presents to each other. Well, you see all the things that they left overnight, and then the exchanging of the presents, and trying to get the other person to please get me this for Christmas, and then ends up not getting it and having to be thankful for it anyway and completely losing their mind. There is far more Christmas traditions in Scooter for Yaksmas than there is Son of Stimpy. So for that, I'm going to give the point to Scooter for Yaksmas, which leaves so far a score of 3 for Son of Stimpy and 3 for Scooter, which is going to leave us down to a tiebreaker. Gross out. And there was more to the gross out humor in Son of Stimpy when we really stopped and looked at it. I don't really count the fart to be part of the gross out humor, because gross out, I think of the close-ups or gross up humor, the anime, the beautifully hand drawn cells. And there was quite a bit whenever we stopped to think about it. There was a lot of the gross ups with animation on top of it, like the nose goblins and the fart that is weaseling its way in between the two homeless people. And yeah, you could say Stimpy frozen in the block of ice, but even then,
it's not gross though.
It's not gross. It's just a beautifully done painting. But what was the other thing that we said? There was one other one. I can't read my handwriting because I wrote it so quickly. His butt. Whenever he farts for the first time. Whereas over on Scooter for Yaksmas, there's gross humor all throughout it. And I think we had a couple of gross out or gross up moments whenever we were seeing some of the things that they would leave, or some of the decorations they would put up. And we had the cod. We had the cod over in the other one. But there wasn't really as much as there was in the Son of Stimpy, which for sheer quantity, the final point and the winner goes to Son of Stimpy. But well done, Manny. Well done. Congratulations. Merry Yaksmas to you,
Ryan. Nice job.
But that was close. It was close.
Yeah,
they're
was
both
very
really
close.
good episodes. As far as the episode ratings go, because we are going to rate these episodes, I will start with Brett's ratings, because Brett did go ahead and leave us notes for this episode and told us two of his ratings for these two episodes, and then I'll finish with mine. So starting off for the Son of Stimpy episode, Brett has to say, never have I ever cared so fondly about a cartoon fart before. I know John K. did this as a direct retaliation towards sappy Christmas specials to point out how they manipulate their audience in caring merely based on the musical melodies, not the performance or the story. Unfortunately, for the vast majority, this notion backfired. When you remove the idea of caring for a fart out of the equation, it's about a parent looking for their lost child while enduring both the winter blues and a harsh blizzard. I don't think I've ever cared for Stimpy more for him than I have here. The pain he endures just to see his child Stinky again is nothing short of a tearjerker. Ren even cares enough to try to snap Stimpy out of his slump. This is a front-runner for one of the most emotionally touching Ren and Stimpy episodes ever, and I stand by that statement. Beautifully animated, beautifully told, and beautiful music. On a final, more silly note, I love the gag where Stimpy looks for his fart in the Salvation Army Santa Claus's butt. I miss you, Alex. Thank you, and Merry Christmas. Miss you too, man. And his official rating is a Splat standing, which is 2 S's. And Manny, what is your rating?
I give it an S for Splatterific. I really enjoyed this episode, and it's because I have the nostalgic feel for it. It's like I said, I watched this when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, and it's always just been such a tear-jerking emotional journey. And as far as like someone that likes to draw and paint, there's like so much going on in this episode, especially with like all the hand-painted close-ups and everything, the way the story goes. And I don't know, to me it just feels like such a nice episode with like not too over the top, but it was just calming. And that's what I really liked about it. Even though if it was a serious episode, it disguised it perfectly with having it be so silly. Because I know as a kid, I probably would not like it that serious, but I just loved it. That's what I gotta say about it.
And Ryan, what do you rate this?
I also give it a splatterific. Like Manny had said, it wasn't like way out there. It was kind of, touching because he was looking for, his fart. It kind of thinks back like when you were a child and at like a grocery store and you don't, you get lost and you have to find, try to find your mom down the aisle and stuff. And so, I think that's how I relate to it.
Okay.
It's such a scary feeling. I totally
yeah.
relate to that too. Like I remember being lost at a mall and it's scary. It's very scary.
Mhm.
Me and my brother were lost at a mall, and we were just playing on the escalator, and my parents were freaking out, and we were just going up and down and up and down, and we were doing that for like 30 minutes, and they couldn't find us, but you know, we didn't really care, but they were worried.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I don't really have much to add that all of you haven't already said. I love the humor in this because there is quite a bit of humor, but again, it's played up seriously, which sometimes whenever you take a silly situation and you play it as serious as possible, it's hysterical. But also this is genuine heart. I stand in agreement with everything that Brett had said about the heart for it. Um, I love that it's very much a standalone episode. This is unlike anything Ren and Stimpy has ever done. And this is one of my absolute favorite episodes of Ren and Stimpy, period. So I'm going to escalate to a triple S and give it a splatceptional. I really love this episode. And as for a scooter for Yaksmas, Brett has to say, oddly enough, this second special feels a lot like SpongeBob's Christmas Who from season 2. Yeah, I said it, sue me. The reason why the reason why is due to how both stories handle the telling of the holiday lore and prepping all the decorations and rituals for the mythical holiday character they're dying to meet. Only in Ren and Stimpy's rendition, Stimpy wants a scooter a little more than he wants to meet Stinky Weaselteats, whom we heard singing Happy Happy Joy Joy in Stimpy's invention, which we had mentioned earlier. I do care a lot for Stimpy's well-being in this episode, too, as he's putting his life on the line for the sake of coveting this gift he wants so badly, but it doesn't quite have the emotional gut punch. Son of Stimpy thrusts into me a hurt so good kind of way, so for that reason it's slightly lower on the Splat Attack scale. Still lovely and still rewatchable for the holiday season. Both this and Son of Stimpy are Nick Christmas staples, so check them out. His official rating is a single S splatterific. And Manny, what is your rating?
It is a C for Splavrage. When I was watching this, and this is probably going to be a hot take too, but the Bob Camp years are sort of my least favorite years because it's so uneven to me. And but the thing is that you mentioned earlier too, Alex, is that Bob Camp went into a hard situation trying to rebuild this animated show after the creator completely kicked himself off of his own show.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely give him a lot of props for maintaining 3 more years, or what was it, 4 more years probably, of this show.
Yeah.
And so with that, I definitely am giving him an A plus. But as for the episode being uneven and so sporadic, I found it a little annoying to sit through. But that could just be my own taste. But as for the comedy, there is definitely a lot of comedy in this. More so than Son of Stimpy. So
Yes.
Scooter for Yaksmas has definitely a lot of great gags, like you mentioned, the oath. Ren completely calling Stimpy a psycho. And the way that Stimpy just absolutely acts like he loves his gift is just the best. You could definitely see just the mental breakdown that he's having right now. But then you sort of feel uplifted when Wizzleteeks says that he's going to take the scooter and fix it up. because I actually felt sorry for the scooter. I really did. So I'm happy that the scooter is getting fixed up later. But yeah, other than that, it was cute, but it's just not my favorite.
Mhm. Ryan, what about you?
Well, I also give it a splatterific, but just a little more than I would Son of Stinky. Just watching this episode, it kind of brought back childhood memories of like just the traditions of Christmas. Hanging the stockings. We just celebrated it with my mom and my brother. And we still have our stockings. I have a SpongeBob Christmas stocking, and my brother had Fairly Odd Parents, and still have it. And so my mom keeps them and fills them up. Puts the lottery tickets in there and little candies and stuff. So to me, watching that, we didn't have sausages and gum and stuff like that, but just having, still doing that, 25, 30 years, and just brings back memories of doing that as a child and even today. So
That must make you like really happy, right? Like just doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
it's rough too because today is my 9 years since my dad passed.
Oh,
But it's just we had celebrated Thanksgiving and Christmas, but it's just going back to my mom and just and even though he's been gone that long, and it's still just seeing stuff that you had for 25, 30 years, just brings back those memories,
Mhm.
and stuff.
let's just
So
know that he's always gonna be there with you no matter
yeah.
what.
Yeah. And that's also part of why we like to do the show. Because we get to go back to that time when we were kids and we get to I don't know about how other people are, but I know that I relate a lot of my life to a movie or a TV show. Not to say that it is, I'm saying I remember it. Pick a movie I've seen, and I could probably tell you something that happened in my life whenever that movie was on. And it's the same with Nickelodeon, and you get to go back and remember the that time period. So yes, I completely understand where you're coming from. As far as my rating for Son of Stimpy, not Son of Stimpy, Scooter for Yaksmas, I really felt like the first half of the episode was hilarious. Uh, Up until he has his official breakdown and leaves and goes and gets the scooter. And then for some reason, even though plot wise it's supposed to pick up, it feels less energetic. And it feels like even the jokes are pumped back quite a bit to let the story move forward. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have well, like Manny had said, it feels very unbalanced. I mean, even within the episode, it
Well,
feels
some of it felt like
unbalanced.
padding too, right?
It did. It really, really did because you could tell. I mean, even with two extra segments at the end of the episode that obviously have nothing to do with the
Yeah.
story, they and it's the last episode of the season. They're probably just running on fumes and trying to get what they need, make their quota for filling out a whole season. But it's fine. I really loved the first half. I enjoyed the second half. So with that, I'm going to actually give this a B, a Splatisfactory. I enjoyed it. It could have been a little better. The second half could have been better. If the comedy had punched up the way the first half had punched up, I would have loved this episode.
Mhm.
But up until he leaves, it's Ren and Stimpy gold. But we are going to transition into our segment for the episode called Say What. I love this one. We don't get to do this one nearly as often, so I'm excited for it. So roll the jingle.
Say what?
Say what?
Say what?
Say what?
Say
Say what?
For this entry, Manny, you did the notes for this one, yes? Did you?
I did.
Did you come up with the questions for these?
I did, yes, and the
Okay.
answers.
Well, then I will let you head up the. I'm going to get my pad out here so I can help keep score.
Okay. For 1 point, who said, "Hello there, boys and girls. Here is a true story we just made up."
Do you know, Ryan?
I don't know that one.
Idiot. That'll be my buzz in. We had talked about that earlier. It was Stinky Weasel Teats, or if you really want to, narrator for the story, but it was the Stinky Weasel Teats voice actor.
Yes.
Hello, boys and girls. This here's a true story that we just made up.
Question 2. Who said, "Man, I feel 10 pounds lighter"? Ryan.
That would be Ren coming off the toilet.
Correct. Correct.
Man, I feel 10 pounds lighter.
Has anyone actually done that? Weighed themselves before and after before? Because I have.
Have you? Is it true?
I've lost 2 pounds.
I've done that running. I've done that running, like run to like 12, 15 miles and then running.
Really?
Yeah, like pound and a half, 2 pounds, like.
Man, I got to do that myself because I'm guilty of saying that, but I've never actually done it.
Yeah, just for kicks and giggles. One day, I was like, I'm just gonna see.
That's great. I gotta try that. Question number 3. Who said, "Shush, Ren, he'll hear you"? You know he doesn't visit the incredulous. Sorry, I can't even say that word. Incredulous. Ryan.
That's Stimpy.
Yes.
Scooter.
Correct.
Shush, Ren. He'll hear you. You know he doesn't visit the incredulous.
Question 4. Who said, "I stayed up for a week chewing that gum for you"? Alex.
That was the yak.
Yes, it was the yak.
I stayed up for a week chewing all that gum for you.
He was so irritated. I would be too. Gross.
Yeah. Can you imagine if your jaws would just hurt so bad? All right. Question number 5. Who said, "Hee hee, look at me. Now look at me. Now look at me"?
Go ahead.
Is that Stimpy's fart?
No.
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 I'm sorry.
No. Idiot.
Alex.
Idiot. That was the daughter, who was because it was the policeman's daughter. It was like, I was gonna buy that for my daughter, and then you see her and she's like a marionette puppet, and it's super creepy. Look at me.
Yeah, that was completely uncalled for, but yeah. God, it freaked me out when I saw that.
Now look at me! Now look at me! Now look at me!
Didn't help that I was watching that in the dark either. It's after me. Question 6. For 3 points. I'm a man now, and a man has needs.
Good.
Ryan.
Yeah, that's Stinky's fart.
Yes. Yes. I wonder what the needs are.
I'm a man now, and a man has needs.
All right, question 7 for 4 points. A half-stick Yaksmas bonus. Bless you, sir. Ryan.
That's Stimpy.
Yes.
And a half-stick Yaksmas bonus. Bless you, sir.
For number 9 for 5 points. I don't care.
Idiot. That was Stimpy.
Yeah.
I don't care.
So far.
So fart.
So far we're tied. Oh.
So fart,
Okay.
we're tied.
Last one. Or unless we need a tiebreaker. For 5 points. I now pronounce you fart and wife. You may kiss the cod.
Yeah, any guesses, Ryan?
I'll say Ren.
Close.
Idiot.
Alex.
That was Stimpy.
That was Stimpy.
Because then they went in the honeymoon up his nose.
I now pronounce you fart and wife. You may kiss the cod.
Yeah, which is, how do they both fit in there? You know, it's a cartoon.
At first, I didn't know that was rice that was being thrown in his face. I thought that was something that they were doing coming out of his face. It's like, oh, that was a really quick honeymoon. And then the camera pulls back and you see Stimpy throwing rice. I'm like, okay, that's a left. That's a left.
Yeah. Just curious. Do you guys want the tiebreaker question?
Sure.
Okay. For 5 points, I'm lucky to be alive.
Oh, I know that one too. But if you know, go for it.
Is that Stimpy?
No.
That was when he was doing the interview, the Ren, when he was being interviewed by the news crew. I'm lucky to be alive. He could have robbed me blind.
I'm lucky to be alive.
Don't worry about counting that one.
Okay. But Alex, you win.
Woo!
Ryan, you're the runner-up. You get Dunkin' Yo-Yos.
You get a savings bond
From Nestle.
Yes.
Nestle Quick. Still, both of you guys did a really great job.
Woo! That was fun. Those were good.
Seriously.
Those were good quotes. Those were good quotes. Light a match!
Light a match! Would you like me to do the closing question?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. So, for our closing question, what do you enjoy most about the gift-giving holiday season? And also, feel free to write to us via email at splatattack2021@gmail.com, DM us on Instagram at splatattackpodcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Splat Attack Podcast, interact with us wherever you find social media. And also, thank you, Ryan, for joining us. It was definitely a lot of fun doing this.
Yes.
Definitely talking Ren and Stimpy's awesome with you, by the way. Is there anything you'd like to plug, before you go?
I just want to say thank you once again for having me. I really enjoy listening to y'all's podcast, but I also enjoy, sharing my nostalgia and ties into it as a child. So.
Well, thank you. And Ryan is he's one of our patrons, and he has been through almost every one of our live streams. And he doesn't get to stick around as often because he has to get up super, super ridiculously early, because that man is dedicated to staying in shape, which I told my wife earlier, and she was like, oh my gosh, that man has dedication. But thank you for all the support that you've given us. And I've loved getting to know you over through the course of the various live streams that we've done, and look forward to chatting with you some more. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Definitely. It's a pleasure. Thank you for the messages and reaching out too. So Thank you.
Until next time, Manny, will you scrape the slime off this wall for us, please? I've got to staple some long johns to my wall. I can already taste those smoked sausages.
Aye, aye, co-captain. It's getting pretty late. Just make sure you tell your wife not to take a bath so late, because you never know when the yak is going to pop out of the tub drain.
Oh my goodness. He's here. I better get going, Slime Pierce. Splat you later. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays!
Nickelodeon's inviting you to attend a cartoon party. There's just one catch. These guys are your hosts. They're Ren and Stimpy, Nick's original cartoon party animals. They've invaded Nickelodeon. So get all dressed up, buy thoughtful presents, and mind your manners. Not! It's Ren and Stimpy's cartoon party, so crash it every Sunday at 11, 10 Central on Nickelodeon.